All right, part two. So what I was saying is the P0405 exhaust gas recirculation sensor for my Dodge Ram 1500 SLT model. I think it's yeah, it's an SLT model. Whatever. No, I think it's just the SL model. Whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all the same truck anyway. But what I was saying is that the symptoms that were described sounds what it sounds like, and it makes total sense, is that the EGR valve stays open, periodically. It jams open, and what it does is it's supposed to take the exhaust and recirculate it to regulate temperature for the fuel and stuff like that. But what it does is it stays open and it floods the cylinders with extra exhaust, which makes it hard for combustion, right? Because it's taking up volume in the cylinders, and then what's happening there is that you don't have as much oxygen in there, that's why it sounds like it's flooding itself while it's starving of fuel. It's a weird sound, but that's the best way to describe it. It sounds like when the truck starts running rough like that, it sounds like, when you're in a vehicle that's flooding, you can kind of tell. And there's no backfires or anything like that, because if it was flooding, you'd get backfires, right? Because you'd get, big detonations, you'd be blowing cylinders and stuff like that, head gaskets and stuff, because you'd have too much in there. But yeah, it sounds like it's starving of fuel while it's flooding itself, and it technically is flooding itself, but with exhaust gases, and obviously that can create extra heat. I do believe when the valve stays closed, you get excessive heat because you get too much air, or something like that. I forget what I read red or whatever, but that seems where I'm going to be starting anyway. So at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel of the, quite a few problems I got to fix on this truck. I mean, not that many really, but it's problems. Obviously the 4x4 is going to be the expensive one. This would be probably, well, if I get a mechanic to do it, I'm looking at $1,000, depending on how many hours it takes them to change it, right? Because it's $106 an hour. Plus they have to test everything. So you're looking at a couple of hours of testing, with the voltmeter, and then just getting the damn thing off. You got to remove the airbox and all that to get at it, right? To be able to work on it. I'm wondering if I can work on it from underneath the truck, because these trucks in front of the bumper, you can almost sit up underneath there. There's a lot of space. Yeah, I'll just get it from there, save myself all the headache. Maybe that's more of a headache, I don't know. But there's not that many bolts. I think there's like 4 bolts holding it on. So as long as the bolts aren't seized solid, and that's the problem with an older truck, you might want to let some anti-seize sit on those bolts for a day or two before you even attempt it. Because if you strip out that bolt, your truck will be sitting there for a long time unless you got screw extractors, and it's just a real pain in the ass to go down that route, right? But it looks like that's what I'm going to have to do. So I got to fix the 4x4 in this, probably both sides. Probably going to put new CV boots on it, but that's a little bit later. I can live with that for now because it's fine when I'm driving normal. It's just when I put it in 4x4. Got to get that drain bolt off so I can freaking do the oil change once and for all. Got to drain all the fluids, power steering fluid. I'd like to flush the brakes, the rear diff, the 4x4 gear oil. I'd like to change all that. I'll leave the transmission fluid because usually they say not to change that. Flush the rad. So I'm looking at a couple of grand to do everything, and then the big one is the exhaust I got to fix. Now that said, if I could patch it myself, I'll do it. If I can't, well, is what it is. But at least if I could diagnose the problem myself, like I could still test the pins and stuff like that myself. And if I can get that tested, at least that's, I can go in and say, hey, look, I tested it. I just need the thing changed because maybe it's seized on there and I don't have the tools to take it off properly. If I'm lucky, I can take it off myself. Yeah. Save myself a couple of $100 in labor. Yeah, sure. I'm down for that. It's just getting a chance to do it in the weather cooperating. And of course, when the weather is cooperating, that's usually the days I'm working. So, is what it is. And then, after that, yeah, once I got those things fixed, my brakes are probably going to be the next on the list by the end of well, I say by August, I'm probably going to be at least have to pad slap the thing. But I'm like, well, there's no use doing that. If you're going to change the brakes and the rotors, change the brakes and rotors. I don't think I have to do the calipers this time around. So that'll save me a bit anyway. If I can get the rotors cheap enough. Last time I did good, but with the last time I did that with Brutus, now Brutus is, I could take the rotors off of him, but they're, again, they're, I've worn them down a bit and stuff like that. I could get some of the stuff off of him because I replaced all that, right? The rotors and the rear calipers and all that. So I could do that. That's going to be a real pain in the ass to do it, but I can do it. It won't be the same as like trying the problems I had taking that stuff off, but then I have a truck sitting on blocks, right? So it's kind of one of those catch-22s, It's like I gotta be basically. I really don't like putting used parts on vehicles, even if I know the parts aren't that old. It's just the idea that there's already rust on those rotors. The calipers I would like to keep though. I don't know what I'm going to do with poor Brutus. I might just cannibalize them, and I'd like to pull the engine because there's a good engine there, and whatever. But it's like I also don't want stuff sitting around because I'm trying to clean up the yard as much as I can. But anyway, yeah. So guys, that's what it is. It looks like it's that code. The reason why that one is so important is that it's the danger of it. When your engine starts going wonky like that on you at high speeds and it conks out, and sometimes it conks out fast, sometimes you get enough warning that you can kind of slow down, pull off the side of the road. But of course, it usually happens like on a curve or someplace where you can't pull off, right? And I've already almost went into the ditch and died twice with this thing. So that's why I don't drive it that much. But you have to drive it to kind of figure out what's wrong with it. But again, I think it's just the age of the vehicle. Like things, at 16 years, if parts are going to wear out, between 16 and 20 years, pretty much everything on your vehicle is going to start to wear out. Like Brutus is a 2004. That truck's even, that truck's 19 years old. So, and of course it's rusted out beyond belief. But, like all your sensors and stuff like that, like your throttle bodies, your all that stuff starts to wear out, But I'm wondering, guys, you tell me, do you think if I know the stuff's not crazy expensive, but a cheap fix, I wonder if throwing like a whole can of seafoam spray through the engine, if you don't know what that stuff is, it basically decarbonates your engine and stuff like that. I wonder if that would be the best way to go to start. Because then it would, because maybe the thing's just dirty, but if it could save me the hassle of pulling it off, I think I'm gonna have to do it no matter what. But I wonder if that would work, because it's just one of those things that it's catch-22 way. No matter which way you go, like chances are I'm probably gonna have to just replace the thing, get it over with. $300 isn't, $300-400 isn't too bad. Maybe I can find it cheaper, but ever since the COVID thing, hopefully that won't, pull the video there just mentioning it, but, car parts are not only hard to get, or truck parts, car parts, whatever, but it's also very expensive. It's like all the parts now, because they all come from China. China sets the price, right? So, yeah, automotive parts, plus with everything moving electric, they're really trying to discourage people from fixing their vehicles. I won't get into all that, but you guys know what's going on. So, yeah, so it is difficult to, throw money at stuff without a good plan. Now mind you, this truck is obviously worth putting an extra $300 into it, no problem, but I still can't drive it around until I fix my exhaust, because this thing is, I call this truck Thunder, and it's living up to its name right now. It's really loud. It's a cop magnet. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at about that. Yeah, so it took me a while, but I did find it. I will still drive around with the code reader on, just in case it's something else, but at least it's a place to start. So I'd rather it be that than some sort of freaking wire short, because wire shorts, I'm still gonna have to check this harness out over time, but like I'd like to be able to do it at leisure, like just kind of give the truck a good bill of health, by, okay, today, like I maintain my truck once a week. I go over the tire pressure, I go check all the fluids, all that stuff. I crawl underneath the truck, give it a quick inspection, look for stuff that's loose, whatever. And that's how you find stuff too before it becomes a problem, right? So is what it is. I mean, this is my business, you know, like my truck is my business. And right now it's like people have to come and pick me up and drop me off from work. So it's like I don't like that. And that does hold me back from a lot of jobs too. So but that's what it is. So if you are having that, I'll describe the symptoms once more. So basically you're driving along, your engine light will come on. It's not all the time. It's kind of at random. And basically, or sometimes it'll run rough, sometimes it won't, but it'll start to get like a misfire. And it sounds like a misfire, but it sounds like it's also like I say, it's flooding while it's starving of fuel kind of thing, and it kind of misfires. Then the engine gets really rough, starts getting really rough. Then your engine light will start, check light will start to flash, which is indicating that you should shut down your engine because you're going to damage something, right? And if you go long enough, sometimes the engine will just outright conk out. And of course, your throttle will get wonky on you. You'll lose power, that kind of stuff. Loss of power is another indication of this valve, or sensor. And then your engine conks out at random speeds, whatever, and then sometimes you restart and it does it again. Sometimes you restart and it doesn't do it. So so that's code P0405 exhaust gas recirculation sensor. Research that and see if that might be a problem. All right, have yourselves a great day.